Well, welcome everyone. So to those of you who I haven't met yet, I am Alice Boschman and I'm the program manager here at Philea. And I lead the Children Youth Network, which is why I'm here with you all today. And the Children Youth Network is one of the 14 thematic networks that we host within the Philea framework. So thank you so much for joining the 7th module of the peer learning journey. And it's also the last module that we have in this peer learning series that's been stretching over a multitude of months now. We're really thrilled to have the Children Youth Network's chair, Learning for Wellbeing, lead on this last conversation. Today's discussion is rooted in the inspiring work that they have done together with Eurochild on co-creating child-friendly versions of policy documents together with children. And we can't really wait to explore this with you all. But before we start, I'd actually like to hear from you. So if you can please take a moment for a brief check-in on Mentimeter, you can scan the QR code or you can go straight to Menti and putting in the code. And then I'll stop sharing the screen so we can look at the results together once you've had the chance to join. And do let me know if it does not work. Okay. I'll stop sharing this screen and I'll share the Menti and hopefully everyone has been able to join. Thank you. And then 1 second, I will share the Menti. Think you all be able to see here now the first question. So the first question is, from which country or city are you joining in from today? I won't be putting in my questions, but so everyone knows, I am in Brussels, Belgium. London, UK. Wales. I think this is the first time we had Wales. Brussels. Israel. Germany. I have Torino, Italy. Italy, Siena. Okay, we have a good mix. Hungary. Happy to see this. Rome, Italy. We have Croatia as well. Okay, I feel like we're a good mix here. I will move ahead to the next question so you can fill in that as well. And essentially, how many of the previous modules have you attended throughout the journey? So this is the 7th. Just putting that in. 5 and above is 1. I will add myself into that as well. For 4 people, it's their first time. Thank you for being here. 1 to 3 is a good number as well. Yeah, 3 to 5. We're quite a big mix, but welcome to all of the first-time attendees. So this is a quick question. So what's your main aim of joining today's module? So if it's to learn about co-creating child-friendly policy documents, to reflect on shifting power, network and change ideas with colleagues, or if you have any other expectations, please feel free to put it in the chat as well. 7 participants have to learn co-creating policy documents. Great. To reflect on shifting power, ongoing conversation as well. Thank you all for sharing. I will check the chat later in case anyone had any other thoughts on this. I will jump to the next. So this is a bit of a bigger question, so don't feel the pressure to add everything you have here. You can also do it as we go along in the chat in the Zoom. But which learning, if applicable to you, from the modules that we had so far have been the most valuable for you in your professional context? If there is anything that stood out that was useful, anything of the sort? Do feel free. I won't stay forever on the slide, I promise. Anyone would like to share? I can move ahead. Okay, I'll move ahead. Oh, I like that we're all working on how to really involve youth in a good way. Oh, here they're all coming. Be humble and to share and learn from all the participants' experience, engagement of youth in policy campaign, concrete case studies. Thank you. It's a huge part of the journey was having really concrete examples. So we're happy to hear this. Yeah, how to listen to children. Youth expert, absolutely. Okay, I will jump to the last question, which you will be able to see. So for you all to know, the next Children Youth Network will organize one online gathering in regards to mental health of children and youth. So if there's anything that you feel that we cannot miss in this conversation, this is your chance to also add to this. If there's anything that stands out to you, would love to hear that from you before we get into the planning stages as well. So do feel free. Otherwise, you're very welcome to put them in the chat as we go along too. How poverty and mental health are linked. Thank you for flagging this. It's something very close to my heart as well. So happy to hear that this is something we need to discuss. What are the key intersections compounding this issue? We did have an exchange already with some of the colleagues, and it's an extremely intersectional issue. So it's a very broad range of conversations. Impact of social media and online of youth and mental health, very relevant. How philanthropy, public services can cooperate on this topic, difference of boys and girls, violence and social media, environment and mental health are linked. Thank you so much for offering your thoughts on this. It's really appreciated. I'll stop sharing my screen. Well, thank you all for this quick check-in. So before handing over to the colleagues, so Learn for Wellbeing and Eurochild, I'd like to take a moment to essentially thank you all for joining in this very powerful journey. As many of you know, this series has really been about learning from really real-life examples of youth engagement in philanthropy from the colleagues. And over the past modules, we've explored how foundations and organizations are shifting their practices from governance to programming to meaningful involve children and young people with the simple aim of essentially us trying to build deeper and more effective models of youth participation. And the module leaders have really reminded us that this journey starts with asking quite hard questions, which means who holds the power, who gets the credit, who gets paid, who doesn't? Are we creating real space for youth voices, or are we just checking a box? So we've heard really loud and clear that tokenism and paternalism have no space in this work. Instead, we must build cultures of inclusion and trust. And that means understanding local context. It means embracing diverse perspectives and creating mentoring and learning spaces. And the modules have also shown how critical it is to align the expectations early and balance autonomy with collaboration. Our leaders, module leaders throughout have taught us their experience of youth-led initiatives, just that they don't just need support, they need room to grow, make mistakes, and to sort of thrive in this space. So as we close this chapter with this module, I'd like to ask us to try to commit to this as much as possible and putting this into practice. So to support this journey, you'll find a growing collection of practical tools and ideas from previous sessions. And I'll drop the link in the chat later to all the different resources that we have online at the moment. So that is it for me. And with that, I'm really excited for today's discussion, led by our steering committee member, Learning for Wellbeing, as mentioned, and Eurochild, who will be sharing their insights. So I'll hand over the floor to Lor, and please save your questions towards the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Alice, for giving me the floor. So before we start, I would like to share some safeguarding rules because we have 2 children in the room today. So it's really important that we cover that before we start. So I would just ask you to be mindful to treat each other like you would like to be treated, with respect and kindness. Use accessible language, meaning when you speak, try to speak slowly. I will try to do it myself and clearly. I cannot see the screen, but I know what I need to do. I will also ask you not to write on the chat directly to the children. If you do, they will tell me and I will know, so please just don't. We will have an open Q&A session at the end, so you will be able to ask them questions directly. And I forgot. Sorry, Darren, can you stop sharing and reshare because I cannot see the slides. Now I can see. Yes, also do not take screenshot or take picture of the meeting without prior consent. I don't know if it was planned or not, Alice, but maybe we can do it at the end. And for those who are not comfortable, they will just turn off the camera. And also when we will do the Q&A session at the end, I will just ask you to ask general question and not personal question. And of course, if the children are not comfortable replying, they won't have to. As you know, child participation is voluntary. So that's it. And if you notice any safeguarding problem, please contact me on the chat. I'm the child safeguarding focal point for this event today. And I will now give the floor to Chiara, so we can start the proper presentation.
Yeah. Can I just check that you can see the slides properly and not?
Not yet, darling, at least me.
We can see the slides, but we can see all the slides in the corner.
It's not full screen, yeah.
It's not.
Okay,
If you click from the beginning, maybe, or if you want to reshare.
Let me stop sharing and start again.
Yep.
Okay, let's try.
What are you seeing now? Are you seeing just the slides?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Everything, not
yeah.
full screen.
But it's in a full screen and but still exactly. Okay, now it should be going. But in the meantime of this, to arrange these technical issues, I also, me as Learning for Wellbeing Foundation, we are glad to be at the finish line of this journey that has been the peer learning. And it has been a journey as children and youth participation involvement is a journey in itself. So today we would like to, we would like to conclude this journey by introducing how we involve children in every step on the way on the decision mechanism and process steps. The decision-making process is already a journey in itself, and it depends from us how much we want to share our power as adults with children. In which step we would like to include, in which step of this decision-making process we would like to include the children and the youth voice into. And since our journey as peer learning was meant also to introduce different practices on how we can take on board and in our board as organization, children and youth, we would like today make you discover how we include children and youth since at the beginning, since the start of the decision-making process. And this means that the process needs to start from them. To do that, to this purpose, we would like to start in introducing you a project that we are running together with Eurochild, where we have been asked by the European Commission to translate into child-friendly version, accessible version, this official document of European Commission, that is the guideline on well-being and mental health at school. Why we start with this practice, with this project? Because if we want to include children and youth in the also management of the organization, aside of the implementation, you need to make them aware also of your regulation, internal regulation. So this means that all your policy documents, all your internal rules need to be accessible also for children. And so also for that, you need their support and their involvement in translate those documents. This is why today we decide to take this example and by guiding you in how we did this process, how we put in place this process. And we will introduce the approach that we applied following based on the Learning for Wellbeing framework. We will guide you through the methodology that we followed, and we make you hear the voices and the impression, the feelings of the of different children. We involve different children, 12 children, but today here we have 2 of them that can really express personally in what they felt and how they are feeling, because it's not yet ended the project. Next, please, Darren. But of course, we would like to introduce also ourselves. And I already, probably you already know me, but I introduce myself for those who meet me for the first time. I'm Chiara Piccolo from Learning for Wellbeing Foundation. I'm the European Partnership and Advocacy Lead for Learning for Wellbeing Foundation, and I have my colleague, and that it's for me, but not only for me, for everyone. It's an expert in children engagement and participation in Learning for Wellbeing. Then we have our nice colleague from Eurochild, Laure Peleux. Tell me if I spell well, because I'm still learning the right pronunciation in French. That is the Eurochild Participation and Policy Officer. And we have Abigail and Leon. That they are the two members of the Eurochild Children Council. That was they are involved in running this project. Darren, please, next. A bit of background on why we started with this process. Why we started? We start working on this project because we have been invited. I personally, as Learning for Wellbeing, we've been invited in be part of this expert group from the European Commission, who decide to gathering experts from different countries, European countries, to design guidelines on how to promote well-being as learning and educational goal and objective in schools. The guidelines were published on May 2024, so last year, but at the end, they are addressed also children. So at one point, European Commission has said, okay, but we need to hear what they think about these guidelines. And so the Commission asked us, Learning for Wellbeing at Eurochild, to engage with children and to work with them on translating these guidelines into an accessible version, child-friendly version. And this is where our journey began. Next, Darren, please. Just a brief introduction of Learning for Wellbeing Foundation. As I said, since we are part of the thematic network and we are chairing the thematic network, the China Youth Thematic Network, maybe some of you already know what we do and what is our mission. That is clearly stated at the beginning as a word where every child can fulfill their unique potential. We base our area of impact on school reform, holistic well-being, and intergenerational collaboration. And as you can see, they are strictly linked with our programs area that are the inner diversity for school, teacher, and students, relationship and communication for family, parents, caregiver, and children. And I'm happy to see also my colleagues that are dealing with this program here in this space. And participation and engagement for organization and community, professionals, and children. These are our programs area that are currently under development. And if it's the case, we will share in another moment inside the Philea world. Please, Naren, next, because now I leave the floor to Laure.
It's me again. So I will just briefly introduce the second partner of the project, so Eurochild. So we are a civil society organization based in Brussels, and last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary. So we are quite recent organization, but we already have a huge network because we have more than 200 members in more than 40 countries across Europe. So it makes us the largest network of organizations and individuals working with and for children in Europe. We aim to bring a positive change in the lives of children, especially those affected by poverty and disadvantage. And we do all of that by influencing policy. So we have a really powerful advocacy team doing a lot of work regarding policy towards the EU institution and beyond. We're also building a civil society capacity. We have a huge network of members, but also partners, and we try to train them on different topics to facilitate mutual learning and exchanging good practices. And we are also committed to child participation. And I will now let Leon introduce the Eurochild Children's Council, who is one of the tools that we have for meaningful child participation. So Leon, over to you with the next slides.
Hello, I'm Leon, and I'm going to present to you the Eurochild's Children Council, or the ECC. So the ECC is a group of children from 12 countries across Europe: Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Estonia, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Malta, Romania, Slovenia, Ukraine, and Wales. Our mandate lasts for 2 years. So we started our mandate in the late June of 2024 last year, and we are supported by Eurochild Child Participation Team. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we are the 4th assembly of the ECC. We are between 13 and 17 years old. We meet once a month online on Zoom. The meetings usually last around an hour or two. And we meet twice a year in person, usually in Brussels. The first time we met was in Malta. Next slide. The activities we've done in the past year. So we already met 3 times in person. The first time was in June of 2024. First meeting where we got to know each other and started our mandate. The second was in November of 2024. We celebrated the World Children's Day in the European Parliament, met with the key EU decision makers. Some of us from the countries had meetings with the MEPs from our countries. And we also talked and met with the President of the European Parliament, President Metsola. The last meeting was in April of 2025. We worked on this great project to make the EC guidelines on mental health and the well-being of school accessible and understandable to children.
Thank you, Leon. Okay, I will take you through the methodology we used for the weekend. If we start, Learning for Wellbeing's main aim is to create a world where all children can reach their unique potential or fulfill their unique potential. The unique potential is expressed through 4 perspectives: the 3 developmental perspectives: mental, emotional, mental, physical. Should be an emotional there on this yellow one. And then obviously then this all comes together with a relationship with the spiritual, allowing us to connect with both the natural and man-made world. When we work with young people, we try to start by creating a safe space. We recognize that a safe space for me may not be a safe space for you. We may need different things in this. But for the purpose of this presentation and the work we do, we'd like to define a safe space as a space where you can bring your whole self, where you can feel comfortable, where you can feel relaxed, where you feel heard, you feel respected, and you feel welcome. And maybe if we get all of these elements right, then maybe you'll feel comfortable enough to take a risk. The philosophy of the work is to bring children and professionals together. Young people creating a young people friendly, a child friendly and accessible version of a document is not just about putting young people in a room, giving them some paper and pens and coming back 2 hours later and expecting a finished document. It's about a chance to work together, with experts. And here I would say law, but I would also like to recognize Stella's in the room, and there's many other people. So law will look at the safeguarding, we'll look at the support, we'll look at the logistics and all of the things that bring us together. Chiara is here today as a policy expert. She came to the weekend because she was one of the authors of the document, and it's very important that young people are able to ask questions of the document to make sure that they've got the meaning behind it, the deeper understanding, and also what they want to express fits within what the document wants to express. It was my privilege on the weekend to be the facilitator, the narrator, to help young people use the Learning for Wellbeing framework to go through and maybe explore the document in different ways. And then finally, not here today, we have the graphic designer, Ricardo. You will see some guides for involving young people in documents will say use color. But you know, whilst this seems a straightforward statement, we recognize that many young people, particularly males, but not exclusively, are colorblind. I think 1 in 12 males is colorblind, whereas 1 in 200 women are colorblind. We understand that there's a vast array of neurodivergence, and it's not just about color, it's about patterns, it's about texture, it's about fonts. And you know, young people, myself, Chiara, we don't know all of these things. So it's vitally important that we've got a designer there to guide our way through this and to help us express what it was or what it is that we want to say, and to make that document as welcoming for everybody as possible. When we work with young people, we don't use the words mental, emotional, physical. We use head, hand, and heart. And we ask the young people to imagine that every time you open a document, you create a new world, that you go into something and you truly want to experience it. And we, having explained the different parts of the theory, we asked them to consider different questions. So when you look at a document from a head perspective, you know, you want to understand what's the purpose of the document. If there are charts used, what do these charts, what do these graphs actually tell you? What's the structure of a document? What's the clarity of the document? And for many people, does this document paint a picture of the future? What story is it telling, and where are you going with it? When we use the heart, we're talking about intuition, we're talking about feelings. So how does the document make you feel? Does it excite you? Is it boring? Is it scary? But then there's that personal connection. How do you relate to that document? What, you know, do you see yourself in that document? Do you see yourself in what the document's trying to create? Does the story that the document is telling relate to you? Are there parts that you find particularly moving, or maybe there are parts that are the opposite, that you don't? And then also then, you know, what's the space for interaction in a document? Even though these are two-dimensional things, you know, documents evolve and influence. And then finally, then there's the hand. You know, what can you do with a document? And you know, many documents these days are PDFs, and PDFs are that almost three-dimensional. You know, you can click on links, you can move around documents in different ways, but there's more to that, in the sense of, you know, what am I going to do once I've read this document? How does this document influence, you know, what I'm doing? Does it give me ideas for projects? Does it give me ideas to do things for myself, to do things with friends? When I have every good document should leave you asking questions. And does the document signpost you to more resources, to more organizations, to deeper understanding of the ideas? Because remember, this document is just a summary of a complex policy in a hugely complex field. And so how do we inspire people to take those next steps? And then most importantly for us is how can young people use this document to take action, to make a difference, to actually do something? And so this was the first time that we applied these principles to a document, and it was really exciting for us. And I really enjoyed how the young people put all of the three aspects together, how they asked questions of themselves, each other, and how they look, that it's not just about understanding the information clearly, it's about your own personal connection and inspiration that you take from that document, and how hopefully we can move this to change both things with you and your peers. Abby, may I pass to you?
Hi, everyone. I'll be talking about what we did so far and what we did during the event. So before the event, we had an online meeting with Darren and Kiara to understand the project and the timeline. And then in April, we met in person to create the content of the child-friendly guidelines and create the design rules with a professional designer. And then after the event, we have connected several times to discuss and approve the designs suggested by the designer. Can I have the next slide, please? So during our in-person meeting in Brussels with the ECC, we started working on translating the EC guidelines into an accessible version. Since it is important for children to read this report, so for them to have an easier time reading it, we started to shorten the length and find the more difficult words and replace them with synonyms or give an explanation. First, we started thinking about what the most important elements are that we should highlight from the original report. We read each of the recommendations and adapted them to children. To be more efficient, all of us got given a random recommendation, and we owned this recommendation, meaning we had the final say in the content and the design. Of course, we didn't have to work completely on our own, so we formed groups and rotated every few minutes, ensuring that we can hear different ideas and come up with new ones together. We started with the name of the recommendation, trying to give back the meaning in a more simple way. Then we all chose 3 to 6 important parts that we simplified into bullet points, making them easier to read. And then Darren introduced us to the hand, heart, and head method. And taking this into consideration, we included different kinds of elements so that everyone could enjoy reading the report. And then finally, we moved on to design, and most of us chose a graphic design for in connection to the topic of our recommendation. And we also discussed the smaller things like the color palette of the report and the different smaller designs. Next, yeah. Here are some pictures of the process.
Leon, over to you.
Oh, I'm gonna share my opinion on the project that we did in April. So I felt pretty good during the project. I liked how each of us owned one recommendation. I really liked the debating in groups we had. And my favorite part is the head, heart, and hand part, where I learned that we're all pretty different because we all look at things from a very different perspective. The part I didn't like so much was the design part because I'm not that creative, so I didn't have many ideas. But still, I think we needed the design part because someone might like that part more than the other. It was all a really great experience and I learned a lot. And here you can see the cover of the project we did. We changed some colors and we added some graphic designs. Yeah.
Then what's next? So in September, during our monthly ECC meeting, we will validate the final version of the report. And then in November, when we have our in-person meeting, we will explain the methodology of the making of the report and present the final outcome to the funders of the project and other EU stakeholders in the European Parliament. And then In January, the European Commission will validate the report, and after that, we will publish the child-friendly guidelines on different platforms.
And now again, up to me, just for a few recommendations on how to start your journey in engaging and involving children and youth since the start and make them leading all the process. Exactly, the first one is exactly that start from the very beginning by listening to young people with your heart, hands, and head. Truly pay attention to what they say and express. Let them lead the process as they did now in dealing this with and delivering this peer learning and what they did, and feel so they can feel a sense of ownership over their proposal and over their work. Respect and accept what they suggest, and as adult, be accountable for what they ask. And I would add from respect and accept on who they are, because you will always be surprised by the richness of the results, as I'm personally always surprised and amazed how they are great when we leave them taking the floor. So thank you all to have been part of this journey. Those for Philea that follow the peer learning journey that today we reached the end. And thanks also from my colleagues and to Abby, Leon, and all the other children, Eurochild Children Council members, for the amazing journey that we are still doing until November. So thank you all.
Thank you all for the presentation. Thank you so much, Chiara, Lord, and especially to Leon, Abigail, also to you, Darren. Thank you so much for this presentation. We now have quite some time for questions. Any sort of questions and answers, anything that came up throughout the presentation and that you would like to address, please feel free to unmute yourself or just raise your hand. Perhaps I can start with a question because I have one. It's mainly to Leon and Abigail, if you don't mind. I would like to understand the reasoning behind why either one of you decided to join the council, why you felt like it was a learning opportunity or such. But yeah, just how you got engaged and why, if you would like to share.
Well, I joined the council because I wanted to learn, new things, and I was really excited when I heard the opportunity came that I was chosen to maybe get there, and I really am happy that I chose it because it's one of the best things ever. Yeah, it's pretty fun and really, really educational.
Yeah, I had mainly the same reasons. I heard about it through my organization, and then I was really excited. And I really just, yeah, it's a good learning experience, as Leon said.
Also,
Thank
if
you
I
for
can
sharing.
add something, just both of them, they're also part of a Council of Children at national level. So that's why they heard about this opportunity. So in the organization, they do work at national level, and with Eurochild, we really do EU-focused work.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's really interesting to hear. I can hand over to Sarah. Is your hand up?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all for presenting. And my name is Sarah. I come from Germany, and we work on a project about child poverty and have a youth council basically ourselves at the Bertelsmann Stiftung. I'm really interested in how you arranged to have this this youth council EU-wide, because you guys, you are 13 to 17 years old. That's pretty young to join an international or European-wide council to like go to Brussels by yourselves. So I would like to know how does this work? Do you have to have adults that accompany you? Is there something that you need to go on these wide travels? Because that's really interesting to us. We also wanted to involve children from other countries, but we see that there are legal hurdles, and so I'm really interested in how you got this to work. Yeah, and thank you very much for your engagement in this council. I think it's really great that you're doing it.
Abby, Leon, is there anything you would like to say to answer this question, or do you want me to answer?
Well, we have accompanying adults from our own organizations, and then they come with us. They travel with us to Brussels.
Exactly. And just to complement, so we managed to have children from across Europe thanks to our huge network of organization. So every 2 years, we open a call for application for a new cohort of ECC and shared across our members. And then one of the requirements is to speak English. They don't have to be fluent in English, but at least having a good level so they can understand the activities. And then we select 12 of them. So we try to have geographical but also gender balance in the group. So it's not always an easy task because we need to do it based on the application that we received. But I think, for example, for the last cohort, like this cohort, we received more than 40 applications. So it was quite a tough selection to make. And then one of also the requirement is to have a supporting organization that commits to support and accompanying them every time they travel. And then we also have safeguarding rules put in place, meaning like we ask for parents' consent for travel, but also medical care. Every time they come, now they're used to it, but they're filling the consent form. So I think now they're tired to do it because I think it's the 4th or 5th time they're doing it. But it's for a legal reason that we are doing all of that. And yes, after we have so me, Stella, who is working with me, and also my colleague Karin, who are supporting and also developing the content of the session throughout the years. And we are trying to make it as pedagogical as possible when we create the consultation, but also based on let's say the advocacy needs of the organization, but also that it's linked to their interest. For example, it was 2 years ago already, but we consulted children across Europe to know what would be the priority. And one of them was, for example, mental health. And that's why last year I wrote a report about children's mental health. And now on top of this, we also have this report. So we really try to have activities that are linked to children's interests too. I hope this answers your question, but if you want more information, you can write an email and I would be happy to share resources that we have.
Thank you very much.
We also have guidelines on how to create a children's council. I would be happy to share it with you if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for your question and Laura for your answer and for sharing. Does anyone else have any question? Please feel free to just raise your hand or unmute yourself. No? Chiara?
Yes, no, Sarah, go ahead. Sarah, go ahead, because
Sorry,
just for me
sorry
that
for
I wanted
another question.
No, go ahead, because I wanted to add on something about the process that we follow and how much for us was important the fact that they lead all the process and that really also some recommendation at the end has been changed a bit in this sense. And also European Commission accepted this because it's very much the children perspective on those guidelines. But I can talk, say more.
That's very great. Yeah, that's really good. And I think this is the way that it should work. So it should really have like an influence on decision making. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Actually, I have another question. Maybe a youth council, you young people can answer that because in our youth council, social media is like a really big topic. And when we try to develop documents, like, for example, our youth council, they shared shared policy recommendations for Germany, or they worked on the topic of child poverty, or like they commented on one of our studies and like wrote recommendations on what they would change or how they would interpret the findings. And that's really, really interesting because the children's interpretations were kind of different than the adults' interpretations. So that was really, really good. So that what they wanted to do is to like create a good document, as you described as well, that looked very different than the report for the adults, of course. But they also said we want to do something on social media, and we want to like create videos because young people don't, they don't only read some document, they also want to see something. So I would be interested if this is a topic for you as well.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
In my national organization, we regularly make videos for social media, and I also feel like it's very important to share it because it is a huge like it is very important in children's lives nowadays, so they can get information from social media. So I feel like it's useful. Yeah.
Yes, and on the logistical aspect, if I can add, here again, it's a question of consent form, because every time they appear on social media, if it, for example, we have a consent form for DCC, but if they're participating in a campaign for a specific topic, we need additional consent form. So that's really important to put in place. And here again, what's also important is to include them from the start, meaning that they should be the one developing the message, not us, and then we put words into their mouth. No. So it's really something that we're trying to work. It's something that we will do in the future. We already start doing it a bit, but we are still building our expertise on that. But I will be happy to share also more on this. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for your question. Chiara, did you want to add on the process of some of the changes that came up that you mentioned briefly before?
Yes. This is, I mentioned this also because, as I said, one of the recommendation, and it's always the hardest part, this one, that when you when you share the power and let the children leading the process, as we said in the recommendation, we need to be accountable on that. So this means that even they change something, we need to accept it. Since the European Commission is starting a lot and is working a lot on this, on the involvement of children, we also, Eurochild, together with us, have been involved also in the Children Participation Platform of the European Commission. The fact that they change the recommendation, and not only they, if I don't go wrong, at the end they added other recommendation when we had another workshop in the Children Participation with the Children Participation Platform. This means that when these guidelines will be published in the official document, in the official site of the European Commission, they will be a bit different. And it has been accepted, these differences, aside of the fact that at the beginning, Commission said, okay, but we don't want to change, we don't need to change the recommendation. But during the process, we understood that if we want real children participation-led process, we need to accept what they propose. And at the end, there are different, they are similar, but they are from different perspectives, let's put it this way.
Thank you, Chiara, for sharing additional information on that. We still have time for questions if anyone has any that's come up as we've gone along? No one? Okay, if so, we will be wrapping up a bit earlier today, which is also good. Before 6 p.m. is always positive. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Chiara, Lor, Darren, and especially Leon and Abigail, and for everyone to join this exchange. It's really appreciated, and for taking the time. And I also want to thank all the foundations and the facilitators, and especially the young people that have shared their experience throughout this entire peer learning journey. Essentially sharing their energies and insights with all of us has been really inspiring. And as mentioned, all these modules, we're collecting the key learnings and all these learnings on the Philea website that will then create a toolbox that will be distributed across the community in order for foundations to trial out different forms of youth participation. So thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this journey. And I will see you all very soon, I hope.